Hello, welcome back to the Megan Daubert podcast. Thank you for choosing to be back here and listening to my journey with me. Today's episode is not the episode that I was referring to last episode. How many times can I say that word? There is this is a different content than I was saying is very difficult for me to share, but this is in the timeline and it's setting us up for the rest of the year's story. So here I am, made it back this week. Hopefully that will be the same story next Tuesday as I drop that episode. But anyhow, today's focus is more on the toll that it is taking on me and just the effects of living at home with Michael and our whole family, figuring out life. I'm going to try and illustrate what it began to do to me in a way. I talked about just a lot of the heartache and pain that I felt last week, and that didn't heal or go anywhere. That kind of continued. So one thing that I had wrote down in the journal one morning last summer was hey, I am being met with limitations in every direction, limits. And it is so frustrating, almost maddening to experience this many limitations. And I bet a lot of us might identify with feeling limitations like this. We were created, our pastor always says, I am a loved and limited image of God. So we are created as loved and we are created as limited. And that is actually a beautiful thing. I have limits. Therefore, my dependency on the Lord is required of me and is natural and is good. So I know that limitations are good for us. And I strive to recognize that on a daily basis, that I cannot do it all from my own strength. But this point in our journey, I just was roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and with no wins anytime. It was a different level of not being able to accomplish anything almost. So, for example, Michael and I started playing some tennis. Now, Michael grew up playing tennis, and guys in our circle would volunteer last summer to come pick Michael up and take him out for, to go grab a drink, like a milkshake or something, and then go play tennis. Tennis was a great activity to do with Michael at the time because it didn't require much verbal communication. It was more obviously physical activity. And tennis is a really great brain rehabilitation exercise because you are tracking the ball, and it's a lot of volleying, right? Back and forth and back and forth. And you go from your left to your right, to your left, to your right, whatever you do. But it's just really good for him. So we had a significant amount of people, which I don't know how we have so many wonderful tennis players in our life, but we just happened to be in a circle with amazing tennis players. So they all would come and take Michael, and it would be great. But anyway, that's the good part of the story. And then I had the grand idea, what if I find someone to teach me and Michael lessons? So a couple times a week, we could go outdoors, do something together that didn't, again, require too much energy output from me because I was exhausted, right? Energy output, mentally, right? With dealing with Michael. And so, that was my great idea. But here's the thing. Michael grew up playing tennis, but I had never once played tennis. So we're doing these lessons, and I am a beginner. And tennis is hard. Learning something in adulthood is not the same as learning something as a child. And so I got out there on the tennis court, insecure, frustrated that I couldn't get my backhand or whatever you call it, or your serve, and that I would aim in the wrong direction. I couldn't turn my racket right. I couldn't follow through with coaching, with our coach next to us. Time after time, I hardly felt like I was improving. So like I'm putting myself in the situation of, hey, I want to learn and grow something new, and I want it to kind of be therapeutic for Michael. I thought this would be great. It was great. And I do enjoy it, but I'm so bad at it that like getting out there on the court means I'm going to go do a really bad job at something, and I'm like willingly walking into this situation. So, there's that part of my life. I had been taking voice lessons from one of our pastors at our church because I lead worship and I want to grow vocally always. So he and I had been working together. And so after Michael's accident, obviously we paused, picked it up again last summer at this point in the summer. So I'm going to vocal lessons and we're challenging me, and I am being met with limitations there, like not singing the way I want, not being able to hit this the way I want. And it's just these personal challenges that I am dealing with. Another thing at this time, I was applying for Medicaid. So our health insurance that we had was about to expire, and there was no way we were able to get normal insurance again. So my only choice was to apply for Medicaid, and it's horrible. It's a horrible process. And I was constantly like, the website is clunky. The website hardly works. Sometimes you can't upload the documents they require you to upload. You can't get anybody on the phone easily. So you're spending hours being transferred and then just dropped in the middle of a transfer and having to start all over and I had to gather so many pieces of information for the Medicaid application. It's confusing, and I am like, it's hard to find things at home because I'm disorganized. And remember, Michael's office was moved upstairs and moved out of our house at that point. So I don't even have access to files that I need quickly. I don't remember where they are. That whole process was so frustrating. And so, like, physical limitations of learning a new sport, trying to stretch myself musically, unable to get this Medicaid stuff. I'm frustrated that I can't get Mike into doctors easily because wait lists are so long. And then I didn't know how, like, another limitation was parenting, right? Like, this is new territory for me to basically solo parent and to parent them through grief. And it took a ton of output and a ton of energy and a lot of effort. And I didn't always do it right, or the outcome often didn't result in what it wanted it to be. So there's another limitation I'm up against. I couldn't manage the household well. I could not get it together. I could not be organized to plan, to grocery shop regularly, to cook, all the things that are required of you to have a family and take care of them and manage your household. I was falling short on everything. And I naturally am a high achieving person, very, very capable at multitasking, very capable of doing a lot of things and doing them well. Like pursuing everything with excellence is just to the core of who I am. And I have been unable to do that in every single area of my life. I got physically sick. I came down with, a cold or some virus, but when your adrenaline is shot, when I've been living in fight or flight mode, when I've been handling the world through grief, a little virus is going to take you down. And it did. So not only can I not handle the load given to me, but I can't even handle being awake, being healthy, taking care of myself. And it just, can you tell can you tell the burden that is that I was living in? And oh, by the way, take care of Michael while you're at it all. It just was too much. I began to not be able to find joy very easily. Like, birthdays were coming up. I have two late summer birthday kids an August and a September. And then September hits and the holidays roll in, and we're talking Mike's 40th birthday is approaching, and Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I was dreading all of it. Normally, I love to celebrate. I was a wedding planner. I love an event. Give me something to make beautiful and have a party and bring people over. But that was in my state of mind was a giant mountain that I knew I had to climb, but I had no desire to start. I had no desire to push myself higher, but I had to do it. Like there was no way around this mountain. And the beginning was, Brooks's birthday, and just it was pulling teeth to get anything together to celebrate him. And one of the things that Michael was like perseverating on, like I've talked about previously, the truck obsession was his like party obsession. He wanted to plan a celebration for everything, anything he found around the next corner. He was like, well, let's have a party for that. Let's do a party for this. And it was sweet and funny, but when he wants to have a party for everything, like our 5-year anniversary of living in this house, which I guess it wasn't 5, it's more like 9 years. He, wanted to have anniversary parties for every milestone that he would ask me. He'd say, hey, how long have we had this car? Ooh, let's have a party for that. I'm like, no. So what is normally something that is joyful for me, celebrating birthdays, planning holidays, having parties, those those things for me, like life was being completely sucked out of them. And Michael was contributing to that with his like desire to want to plan. I became to like numb to wanting to plan and celebrate, and it became something negative in my mind, which is just it's life draining when it felt like bits and pieces of me were just constantly like falling off in clumps, and I was losing myself. I can imagine anybody who's found themselves in shoes similar to mine caring for somebody, whether it's after a medical emergency or it's something from birth, or you're caring for a loved one, you're caring on the other end of the spectrum where your parents are, their health is failing and you are responsible for them. Like the load is so much. And I, I didn't I didn't know that this part of the journey was going to happen, and it was going to be so thick, so heavy, so hard to get up in the morning. I remember one day I was leading worship at church. So I had gotten back on the schedule like once a month, and it took a village to make it happen. It took like I have to get to church early on Sundays when I lead, like 6:30 a.m. So someone had to come to the house to care for Michael and the kids, get them ready, drive them there. So it's a big ordeal. So I was doing it once a month because I was like, I am drawn to leading worship. I don't want to miss out anymore. I want to be there. I want to worship. I love this. Like, let me try. So the first, was it the first, one of the first Sundays back, not the very first Sunday, but the first time we sang this particular song, Goodness of God. Now, we had sung this song, The Goodness of God, the Sunday before Mike's accident. So February 4th was the last time I led it. And here I am leading again this one particular time. And I remember just taking a moment just with our team who wasn't during church and just being like, hey, I got to be real honest with you all. This song is really hard for me to sing. The chorus is, all my life you've been faithful. All my life, you've been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. And so take how I am feeling, right? Where's the joy? This is all heavy. I met with limitations. Like I am losing myself. And then coming and singing the goodness of God and declaring, all my life, you've been faithful. All my life, you've been good. I will sing of the goodness of God. Was hard to bridge that connection. And I'm not going to lead out of a place where I'm not connected. So I was like fighting for that and telling myself, hey, I believe, Lord, that you are good. But I took a moment to tell our team this exact thing. Like, hey, this is really hard for me to sing. I believe it with my whole heart. I believed it on February 4th before Mike's accident. And I still believe it today. But now all that I've been through, yeah, it makes me question, have you been faithful all my life? Are you going to continue to be faithful? Because things are getting almost worse. It feels like. Now, I know that's relative, but yes, I still believe in your goodness. I believe that you are going to see it through to completion, that which you have begun. And um, I definitely was like driven to tears while I was talking to them. And during that time, my friend from church felt like the Lord gave him a vision for me and a verse. And so that Sunday afterwards, he approached me and said, "Hey, I think the Lord gave me a word for you. Would you mind if I shared it with you?" And of course, like, so eager to hear from the Lord, like, I need help, right? So he sat down and he had printed out the verse and said, while you were speaking to our team this morning about this song, I had this vision of a tree that had clearly been through a storm. Like, it had been a beautiful tree, but now, like, it was weathered, branches were broken off, leaves were gone. It was tattered and beaten and, like, clearly approaching death, right? And then he said, but then slowly over time, new life began to come from it. New branches were sprouting up, and it entered a season of flourishing. And he said, I believe that that is you. And Lamentations 3:21 through 24 is the verse that came along with that in his mind. And I just want to read that to us right now. Lamentations 3. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. So, a familiar verse, right? His mercies are new every morning. But the Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. Like, it was so encouraging to have my friend share this message with me and have that vision, because, yeah, I felt like that dead tree, battered and beaten from a storm, lost all of the leaves. But choosing to cling to, I believe there is more to the story. I believe there is still hope. So declaring that through worship, declaring that through song, hearing that from my friend, seeing that in Lamentations, and just saying, choosing, actively choosing in my pain, in my heartache, to actively say, the Lord is my portion and I will hope in him. Just to remember to cling onto that hope. Now, it wasn't a proclamation of this is how long it will take. No, there was no time attached to this word or the word of the Lord. Like, it was just an encouragement from the Lord, like, hang on, Megan. And I honestly kind of still feel like my tree hasn't sprouted any new life lately, a year later. And that's difficult. I mean, I'm a spindly broken tree just in time for Halloween, basically. But my hope in the Lord still remains steadfast and still remains firm. And I truly believe that that is what the Lord wants for us as loved and limited beings, um, to remain hopeful that even though we can't see what is happening through all of this, even though it feels like it's getting harder and harder and harder, do not lose hope. His mercies are new every morning. My soul declares that the Lord is my portion, and therefore my hope is in him. So just wanted to acknowledge like how difficult this was and will have continued to be for me. I know there's a lot of you that listen who are therapists and doctors and nurses in this field of work. And I love that you have mentioned like whatever part of our story has helped give you a fuller picture of your patients, and not just your patients, but your patients' families. And I think that that is what I hope that today identifies with, is like, look, yes, your patients are patient number one, right? Like, this is who you need to take care of, but also like, imagine what the family is going through as well. Like, it's so difficult. It's so difficult to just show up to an appointment. It's so difficult to get the paperwork in. It's so difficult to schedule an appointment. Like, the drudgery of normal life is totally different when you're a caregiver. And those of you who are finding yourselves in a place like me, I see you and I'm sorry. And don't lose hope. The Lord is faithful. We can sing of his goodness forever. It doesn't mean it's going to get easier anytime soon, but one day it will. We don't know when, but one day. So, thank you all for listening today. I will see you next time on the podcast.